Michael, let me ask you a few questions. You've been a leading asset protection and business attorney for a long, long time. What's the difference between being a company versus being a sole proprietor?
That's a great one, Rob. In America, about 97% of all the business enterprises are sole proprietorships, which really just means that the business owner and the business are one and the same. In other words, they haven't filed a corporation, they haven't set up a limited liability company, and they're just operating casually and informally as a one-person business or a small business for a family. And that's a very inexpensive way to go. Many people do that because of it. They get some business cards, they file a business license with the county, and they're done, they think. The problem is that sole proprietors also have the highest losses in terms of their business revenues. They have the highest rates of tax audits because the IRS just loves sole proprietors.
Oh.
And they have the highest number of losses when it comes to lawsuits. Because think about it. If you and the business are one and the same, then when the business gets hit with a lawsuit, whether it's from an employee or from a customer or from someone that you had some interaction with, the sole proprietorship means that you have no personal protection, and therefore the lawsuit plaintiff has a full right against all of your assets completely, whether they have anything to do with the business or not.
Oh, wow. So now it protects the assets, but doesn't being a company limit the ability to run your business?
Really not. The reason is that if you're a sole proprietor, you and the business are one and the same. But if you have a corporation or a limited liability company, Rob, it allows you to separate yourself from the business so that you are not the business and the business is not you. And that's a great thing for tax planning, for lawsuit protection, for financial privacy, and for all of the deductions you can take. In fact, just by having a corporation or a limited liability company, you increase the percentage of your deductions by about 400%.
Oh, really?
And you reduce the likelihood of being audited by the IRS about 92%, which is nice.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, you have all these deductions you can take for retirement that are much bigger than a sole proprietor can take. So there's fabulous opportunities just by having a corporation or limited liability company being the owner of your business. And then you might be one of the owners of the business, you might be an officer of the business, but the corporation or LLC is not you. And you're not it.
I see. Now, so it's just an end-all to buy a corp or an LLC like off the internet and you're done?
Well, you know, the problem with doing a corporation or LLC off of the internet is you're getting one of these one-size-fits-all type of transactions. And that's just not applicable in today's modern world. Yes, you can get a corporation or LLC off the internet. You can buy it from a source online. The problem is you don't have the opportunity to have an expert talking to you about your particular situation. You know, one size doesn't fit all when it comes to lawsuit protection, privacy, tax planning, etc. We need some expertise, we need some guidance. And that's why doing it with an expert that'll help you and talk to you, talk turkey with you, will really get you on the right path.
I see. Now, I have a corporation in New Jersey, and they were telling me that Nevada is a good place to incorporate. Why in the world would I incorporate Nevada if I have my business in New Jersey?
That's true. Well, it's a good idea to think about this. You have 50 different jurisdictions in the United States, and as you know, many of the states compete with each other to get business because the Secretary of State of each state is a source of revenue to the state. Now, in competing with each other, some of the states have taken real efforts to distinguish themselves from other states. And in many states, the trial attorneys have such a strong stranglehold on the legislature that the laws in that state really are oriented towards plaintiffs. A small business owner who's not going to go public, could really benefit from the legislation in Nevada that respects your privacy, that gives the owners of the corporation and the board of directors of the corporation a high degree of personal lawsuit protection and financial privacy.
I see. So what do you suggest to protect the assets and to protect the privacy, the lifestyle, and the family? What is the correct steps, the best steps to take, whether I have just a sole proprietorship or whether I have an LLC or a corp? What do I do now?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd talk to someone who can really help you and speak to you at your level and feel comfortable with them. You want to work with someone who is experienced in this area, who has a background, and who understands the ins and outs of how a corporation and LLC might be different, how they could be similar, and how it best suits your situation, because not everybody's the same.
Right.
You know, that's the problem with these online incorporation services, is that it treats everybody like we all wear the same size shoe, and that's just not the case. We have individual needs, and our individuality needs to be respected in that regard. So I'd say talk to an expert first. Secondly, think seriously about how you're going to hold the stock, because how the stock of a corporation is held or who the members are of an LLC is very important. It's not one size fits all, and I think working with an expert will stand you in good stead.
Okay, and last question. If I get a letter that says I've been sued, can I do all this then?
Well, the problem with acting after you've been sued is that the bell has been rung. Oh. Now, if you take action after a lawsuit has been filed, you're engaging in what the courts call fraudulent conveyance, or in some states, fraudulent transfer. In fact, the very first page of the complaint from the plaintiff will be standing orders from the judge that say, do not transfer assets, do not move assets around, don't start setting up entities now. So you'd be violating the court's order. So the best time to act is while your legal seas are calm and everybody still loves you. Wow. Right when you think you don't need it, that's the best time to get it. I mean, think about the fact that we drive around in cars with a spare tire. It's not that we plan on having a flat tire today, but we want to have the protection just in case. The same thing with our smoke detectors, etc. We want to have protection in place before we need it, so that when that time comes, we're better protected. And quite frankly, the longer your corporation or LLC has been in effect before you get sued, the more likely the protection will stand.
Wow, that's great advice. Thanks a million, Michael. I sure appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay.